The teasers dropped, the fandom went silent. In an instant, the entire K-pop and K-drama world was turned upside down. Her career is over. The dark family's secret Ha-young tried to hide.
Join us as we ride the Hallyu wave, uncovering the biggest K-pop comebacks, shocking industry controversies, and major K-drama updates.
From internet-breaking rumors to historic chart milestones, we dive deep into the world of Korean entertainment. Welcome to Starscope K-Report.
And today's deep dive is a heavy one. We are pulling from a massive stack of sources today.
Yeah, we've got reporting from the Korea Jongang Daily, the Korea Times, the Maeil Business newspaper, and of course those massive deep dive community threads from K-nets.
Right. Our mission today is to untangle this incredibly complex controversy surrounding South Korean actor Ha-young.
And we're not just recapping a timeline here. We want to explore how, a simple celebrity flex on a variety show totally unraveled.
It turned into this massive international debate. We're talking colonial history, medical ethics, and the limits of generational guilt.
And what it really means to live in the digital age, where nothing is hidden forever.
Exactly. So to understand how fast this scandal exploded, we have to look at the catalyst.
Right, the inciting incident.
Yeah. So it's August 7th, 2026. Ha-young is just riding this incredible high. Her Netflix rom-com, Our Sticky Love, is a massive hit.
Oh, she was getting an all-kill in the streaming ratings. She was the absolute visual of the moment.
Totally. And she makes a guest appearance on the KBS variety show Problem Child in House.
Which, if you follow K-entertainment, variety shows are designed to be super disarming.
Right. They have that relaxed vibe.
Exactly. It's just casual banter. Everyone's laughing. It basically lulls idols and actors into oversharing.
And she completely took the bait. During a segment about her background, she decides to boast about her family's, quote, Dr. DNA.
Oh, the Dr. DNA comment.
Yeah. She reveals she comes from 4 generations of physicians.
Which is a huge flex.
It is. And she specifically highlights her great-grandfather. She claimed he was the first Korean to study Western medicine in Japan, that he opened a clinic in Seoul, and even treated Emperor Gojong.
Wow. On paper, that sounds like an unshakable elite pedigree.
In a vacuum, sure. It sounds incredibly impressive.
But you also have to remember, and the source had pointed this out, on a previous cooking show, she joked about her family having 5 refrigerators.
Right, the 5 refrigerator.
Yeah, because they had so much food going to waste. And viewers already perceive that as really flaunting her generational wealth.
So you combine the wealth flaunting with this highly specific historical flex.
Right.
And you have to factor in the investigative power of K-nets. They don't just passively consume TV.
No, they absolutely do not. When a celebrity drops historical markers, like a specific profession, a timeline, royal connections, the fandom treats it as an open research prompt.
They go straight to the national databases.
It honestly sounds so much like when old money in the U.S. boasts about their ancestral wealth.
Right. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Like they show off this historic family estate, completely ignoring that the money came from, slavery or sharecropping.
Yeah.
You can't just flaunt the aesthetic of wealth without someone asking where the capital came from.
Exactly. So how fast did the internet connect the dots here?
Oh, it took mere hours.
Hours?
Yeah, the netizens went straight to work. They cross-referenced medical license records from the early 1900s and identified the great-grandfather as Ahn Sang-ho.
Okay, Ahn Sang-ho.
Right, who lived from 1872 to 1927. But the archives painted a completely different picture than the noble pioneer she talked about on TV.
What did they find?
He was deeply tied to the Daejeong Chinmokhoe, which is the Taisho Friendship Association.
Oh, wow. Okay, for context, the Japanese colonial period from 1910 to 1945 is intensely sensitive.
Extreme.
And groups like the Taisho Friendship Association, which was founded in 1916, they weren't just social clubs. They were systemic tools used to actively promote the assimilation of colonial Korea into Imperial Japan.
Right, they were cultural erasure tools. And the archives showed he wasn't just a passive member. He actually treated Yi Won-young.
Wait, Yi Won-young.
Yes.
He is widely considered one of Korea's most notorious colonial collaborators. He was instrumental in signing away Korean sovereignty.
Exactly. And the K-nets, they didn't stop there. They pulled a digitized 1918 article from the Maeil Sinbo.
The official newspaper of the Japanese government general?
Yep. And that article explicitly praised Ahn's family as a model case of total assimilation. It noted they wore Japanese clothing and strictly prohibited the use of the Korean language in their home.
So when you combine that 1918 newspaper scan with the variety show appearances,
The public perception completely shatters.
a Dr. DNA flex fused with the 5 refrigerators flex.
Exactly. She was no longer this talented, beloved actress. To the public, she was the descendant of a Chinolpa.
A pro-Japanese collaborator.
Right, someone flaunting wealth that was built during national subjugation.
And the mechanism of her downfall was totally locked in at that point, because those 1918 government gazettes are digitized and keyword searchable.
Which means her agency, Bistus Entertainment, walked right into a massive trap.
Oh, the PR disaster.
Yeah, they issued this standard panic mode crisis management statement, and they hastily dismissed the claims as, quote, groundless.
Claiming K-net's archival research is groundless is like telling the IRS they did their math wrong.
Yes. You are literally just begging for a forensic audit. It might work for dating rumors or, minor fandom drama, but you cannot use a generic PR denial against digitized primary historical sources.
And they realized that very quickly. Just 24 hours later, faced with undeniable 1916 roster documents with Ahn Sang-ho's name on them, they had to issue a humiliating retraction.
It was so bad. And Ha-young followed it up with a handwritten apology on Instagram.
Right. She claimed she only knew fragments of her family history and that she ignorantly viewed it just as a source of personal pride.
Oh, wait, I want to ask a clarifying question here. Because I read something really interesting in one of our sources.
Sure. What is it?
Was he actually officially a collaborator? Because I read that he isn't in the official dictionary of collaborators. How does that work if they have all these documents?
Yeah, that's a really important historical nuance. According to Bang Hak-jin from the Center for Historical Truth and Justice, Ahn Sang-ho did collaborate.
Okay.
For example, he attended a 1909 memorial for the assassinated Japanese statesman Ito Hirobumi.
Right.
However, his actions were not deemed active or consistent enough to make the official 2009 biographical dictionary of pro-Japanese collaborators.
And that dictionary lists what, like over 4,000 people?
4,389 people. But the dictionary committee requires a very high evidentiary threshold proof of sustained structural damage to the independence movement.
Oh, I see. So he operated just below the bureaucratic threshold for official condemnation.
Exactly. But in the court of public opinion, that technicality did not matter at all.
No, of course not. They saw a family thriving and accumulating wealth during a period when the general public was systematically stripped of their identity.
And trying to sweep that history under the rug only makes the internet dig deeper.
Which brings us to the next massive revelation. And honestly, if you thought the great-grandfather was bad, wait till you hear what netizens uncovered next.
But before we get into that dark twist, if you love staying updated on your favorites, make sure you're subscribed to Starscope K Report. We've got even bigger scoops ahead.
Yes, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a KT update. Okay, so let's peel the onion. Spurred by that botched PR response, netizens started looking into the next generation.
The grandfather, Ahn Bu-ho.
Yeah. And this is where the scandal pivots from colonial politics into just a straight-up human rights nightmare.
The medical ethics violations. Netizens discovered that Ahn Bu-ho served as the chief of the medical department at the National Sorokdo Hospital.
And for those who don't know, Sorokdo is an island facility with a deeply traumatic legacy.
Right. He was there between 1949 and roughly 1954. The hospital was infamous for severely abusing patients with Hansen's disease, which is commonly known as leprosy.
The details from the sources are they're really hard to read. We're looking at the 2005 National Human Rights Commission report.
And it outlines systemic, state-sanctioned atrocities.
Yes. Between 1949 and 1958, there were 1,191 forced vasectomies.
Patients were subjected to forced abortions, forced labor.
They did anatomical dissections on deceased patients without any consent from the families.
And there are accounts of agonizing bone marrow extractions.
It's horrific. But I want to clarify the line of guilt here. Do we have actual proof that her grandfather personally performed these atrocities?
We do not. The experts confirm there is no direct evidence putting a scalpel in Ahn Bu-ho's hand for those specific procedures.
Okay, so there's no direct proof.
Right. But you have to consider his rank. He was the chief of the medical department during the exact era these systemic abuses occurred.
Oh, I mean, yeah. You don't get to that level of leadership without knowing the operational protocols.
Exactly. Netizens find it completely impossible to believe he was unaware or uninvolved. He was a senior leader in a facility actively committing gross human rights violations.
So you go on a variety show to brag about this clean, prestigious Dr. DNA lineage, and within days, the internet exposes a great-grandfather tied to imperial assimilation and a grandfather who helped run a facility notorious for forced sterilizations.
It is an absolute nightmare scenario, and this rapid escalation triggered a massive geopolitical media debate.
Right, and we want to break this down impartially because the way different countries analyze this fallout reveals deeply contrasting views on accountability.
Let's start with the Japanese media perspective. Outlets like JB Press and the Fuji News Network, or FNN, they actually defended Ha-young.
Yeah, they labeled the Korean public's reaction as modern-day guilt by association.
They argued it's fundamentally unreasonable to ruin a young woman's career for the actions of ancestors she never even met.
They basically view it as kin punishment, punishing the bloodline rather than the individual.
Right. And some editorials pointed out that a lot of people retroactively branded as collaborators were just ordinary people trying to survive an impossible colonial reality.
Which, makes sense from that perspective. But
Yeah.
then you cross over to the South Korean op-eds like the Maeil Business newspaper and the massive Reddit threads.
The Korean perspective shifts the premise entirely.
Yeah, they argue it is absolutely not about kin punishment. The anger isn't just about the bloodline. It stems from her ignorance and the flaunting of that generational wealth.
Right, because how does that wealth actually transfer?
Exactly. One of our community sources laid this out so clearly. During the colonial occupation, if your family actively resisted, like if they were independence fighters, their lands were confiscated.
They were forced into exile or imprisoned.
Yes, their wealth was zeroed out, which plunged their descendants into deep poverty for generations.
Conversely, families that assimilated and collaborated were allowed to protect their assets. They sent their kids to elite imperial universities.
Those kids became doctors, bought real estate, and compounded that wealth through the post-war era.
So when a modern celebrity stands on television in 2026, perfectly preserving that elite status and joking about 5 refrigerators,
Without doing a shred of homework on the suffering that subsidized it, it strikes a massive cultural nerve.
they aren't demanding she face criminal charges for Sorokdo. They're demanding accountability for her modern-day attitude toward that history.
Exactly. And the sources brought up this fascinating foil to prove that point. Because the public isn't just mindlessly hating on bloodlines.
Right, they brought up the K-pop star Jungha.
Chungha is such a perfect contrast here. When she learned that her maternal grandfather was an actual documented independence activist.
Who was imprisoned for resisting forced Shinto shrine worship, by the way.
Yeah, she had the ultimate historical flex. She could have just dropped that on a talk show and soaked up the praise.
But she didn't just brag.
No. She realized she didn't have the historical context to truly understand his sacrifice. So she spent months rigorously studying.
She actually sat for the highest level of the Korean history proficiency test.
Which is notoriously difficult. You really have to understand the deep socio-political dynamics. And she passed it to truly honor her grandfather's legacy.
It shows the public isn't just judging the archival records, they are judging the descendants' attitude toward that history.
Chungha treated her history as a solemn responsibility. Ha-young treated hers as an unexamined prop for a variety show.
And in an era where all this data is instantly accessible on your smartphone, claiming ignorance while using your ancestry for clout is seen as a severe failure of character.
You cannot just selectively extract the prestige of your ancestors while aggressively ignoring the collateral damage they left behind.
So the key takeaway here is massive. In the digital age, ignorance of your own privilege is a massive liability.
Seriously, bragging about your ancestry without doing the research is like walking through a historical minefield blindfolded.
If you don't do the forensic research, a fandom armed with digitized national archives absolutely will.
And it leaves us with this final, really provocative thought to explore on your own.
If modern society overwhelmingly agrees that the legal system should never punish a child for the crimes of their parents,
why is the court of public opinion so willing to do exactly that? Where is the line between holding a public figure accountable for their ignorance and unfairly punishing them for a past they didn't write?
it's something that really makes you question how we view digital permanence.
Absolutely. You've been listening to Starscope K-Report, where Eric and Minji bring you the stories shaping K-pop, K-dramas, and the global Hallyu wave. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.